Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at authority. This is a particularly interesting topic, one in which we look at issues such as human rights, capital punishment, punishment itself, justice, and sources of authority. Let's start with the key words. Authority is having power over others. An example of someone with authority or religious authority would be the Pope. Duty is something you feel you have to do. It's your duty to act in a moral way. Human rights, we'll just come to those in a second. Justice. Justice is fairness, when things are treated fairly and in a fair or just way. Personal conviction is when you believe that something is right, and you often believe it with such strength that you are willing to die for it or willing to go a long way to protect it. And the final one, punishment. Punishment is when you exact a punishment on someone for something they've done wrong. You are trying to change their actions. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Human rights. Human rights are something you're entitled to because you're human. Everybody has them. Everybody is born with them. However, they don't actually exist. We cannot prove that human rights exist. They are not written down somewhere that actually matters. They are simply something we've come up with to try and cope with the fact that human beings are not very nice to each other. And in fact, we came up with them after the Second World War. What we came up with was the Declaration of Human Rights. The United Nations got together, they looked at the Holocaust, they looked at the number of people who've died, and they decided, we don't want that again. So they came up with 30 rights that we all have. You can easily Google those. It's not a law. None of those human rights in the Declaration of Human Rights are a law. You cannot go to your government and say, hang on, this is in the Declaration of Human Rights, I deserve this, because your government will tell you to go away. Religious viewpoint. Well, religions believe in human rights, and there's a couple of reasons why. Humans were created by God. Therefore, if they're created by God, we should respect human beings, because he didn't create them for no reason at all. He created them to be respected. The analogy I always use of respecting creation is if one of my pupils brought me a house that they had made and designed technology, and I smashed it up with a hammer, they would not be very happy. And so God wouldn't be very happy with us destroying his creation. Humans are a part of that creation. That feeds into sanctity of life. All life is sacred, all life is important. Religious people believe that we are above the level of animals. Animals do not have souls. Therefore, human beings are above that level and so should be treated with respect. We are special in the eyes of God, created as a different entity. For Christians, we're all related through Adam and Eve. Jesus' actions were about helping those in need as well. For Muslims, and in fact we've got a little picture there of Jesus healing a leper. He did a great deal to fight for the justice of those who are in need and for the rights of those who are in need. In Islam, you've got the idea again of creation, that coming back, that idea of equality as a result of creation. You've got the Day of Judgment. We should live according to the rules of Muhammad, and we should live according to the rules of the Quran in order to have a positive outcome on the Day of Judgment, in order to receive Allah's mercy. And this quotation here, which should have a quotation mark there, all people are equal as the teeth of a comb. Just like every single little tooth on this comb is the same size, so are all people equal in the eyes of Allah. Protection is the next section. Well, protection is quite simple. There's no religious content here. It's simply to do with the theories of protection, which we've been through in class. Protection, keep the community safe from that criminal. That's one reason why we punish people. A deterrent, to warn the community that if they do the crime, they do the time. Often capital punishment will be said to be a deterrent because you see that criminal being killed, so therefore other prospective killers won't want to do the crime. Retribution, quite simply, means revenge. Reform, to make the criminal a better person, to rehabilitate them. If you've got a drug addict, you take them into rehab and you try and help them to stop being a drug addict. Vindication is about upholding the law, to make sure that the law is respected and to make sure that the legal systems in that country are not taken the mickey out of. Capital punishment. So this is the main topic which we debate in this unit. It is a critically important topic to understand the arguments for and against. A little bit of background. Capital punishment, obviously also known as the death penalty, is when you kill a criminal. China do it more than anybody else. They have quite a good record of killing. I think it's around about 75% of the criminals who die by the death penalty in the world. They killed over 1,000 last year. This is Saddam Hussein here, who was the leader of Iraq, who the Iraqi people killed, and one of the favoured methods around the world because it's cheap and easy as hanging. Obviously the guillotine is famous from France as being a method of execution. Harold Shipman is somebody that we've debated because he was in Britain and did not receive the death penalty despite having killed over 250 people. Or the arguments for the death penalty: it's a deterrent, it stops other people wanting to kill people because they see that punishment. The idea that it removes dangerous people from society. If you take a killer away, they can't kill again. It's cheaper, especially if you do it like China. If you just kill the criminal relatively quickly, it becomes a cheaper way of doing things. Retribution. It's a way of taking revenge on that criminal. And closure for families. This is the only way that you can truly get the victims' families to feel closure, is by killing that criminal. Points against the death penalty. Well, the main reason why it was made illegal in this country was this point here. Innocent people get killed. This has been proven. Okay, so the idea that an innocent person could be killed by the state, for the UK at least, was too much to swallow. Life is sacred. It's that religious point from above again. Prison is a greater deterrent than... Quite simply, it's a greater deterrent than killing them because they have to live their life in suffering and misery in prison. It's a breach of their human rights. Quite interesting to see human rights coming into this. It's a breach of their human rights to have to be murdered, to be killed. This is a very interesting point. The UN survey of 1988 and also 1996 found out that the death penalty wasn't a deterrent, that it didn't stop other criminals wanting to commit the crime. And some people worry it could make martyrs. A martyr is a hero who is, well, he's been made a hero because he's died. Amnesty International are a charity that we've looked at in class. That's their logo. And what they believe is that the death penalty, they believe in these arguments here, the death penalty is a breach of human rights. Now,